Hello everyone, welcome to another Into the Void real review. This time we are reviewing The First Omen, a prequel to the 1976 horror film The Omen. This movie features Nell Tiger-Free as the main character, Margaret. You may know her as the babysitter in that Apple TV series Servant. If you haven't watched that yet, I can't recommend it enough. Go ahead and stop this video and go watch it right now. Go on. I'll be here when you get back. Go on. Okay, fine. I'll keep going. This obviously is the backstory of how Damien, the devil child, came to be.
Who is he? What does he want? Where did he come from?
Now, as always, there's some spoilers in this review, so tread carefully and go watch the movie before watching this. So once again, you can go. It's okay, really. I'll be here when you get back. Who said that? Who said that?
Fatality.
Or maybe I won't. After all, there is an eclipse today. The original Omen has always been well received, but I've always felt that you don't hear about it as much as The Exorcist when identified as the greatest horror movies of all time. If anything, this movie made me more interested in checking out that original film. That's something I'm sure any good prequel sets out to do, along with being a great standalone movie on its own, which this film is. Anyway, this film features a girl on a pilgrimage to become a nun in 1971 Rome. Everything starts out bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in the beginning. Birds are chirping, a tree is swaying in the wind. Nuns are being nuns, doing nun things, taking care of the less fortunate, some being good, some being bad. And then Margaret meets a problem child who is kept locked up in a room by the nuns named Carlita, who she seems to identify with because, lo and behold, she was a problem child as well. After all, the Cardinal Lawrence, a religious authority figure in Margaret's life, who has brought her to Rome in the first place, has a history of counseling Margaret in the past, forming a bond that is instrumental in giving her the opportunity to become a nun at the Roman convent. Those connections prove vital in the story, which I won't spoil here. And as the story moves along, it turns out, as Margaret starts to question young Carlita, things come to light that question the integrity of what the nuns are doing at the convent that serves as a home to many orphan girls. You get the sense that something evil lurks just beneath the surface. At first, when Margaret comes to the convent and meets Carlita for the first time, it's apparent something is going on behind the scenes when she gives her a picture of something evil happening to her. Then, as Carlita forms a bond with Margaret, she begins to open up and tell her of things that are happening to her that may or may not be real. Margaret confides to Carlita that she has a history of having visions and seeing things that aren't really there. However, Margaret with time finds out things through her conversation with Carlita, along with some information provided by a father of the church, Father Brennan, played by Ralph Ineson, that there may be a plot to bring about the existence of the Antichrist. When Margaret confronts the nuns with questions, they basically say, "None your business," and also go so far as to threaten her to stay away from Carlita because she's a bad influence on her. A lot of this movie is figuring out what exactly is going on behind the confines of the convent. There are riots between the state and church that serve as a backdrop to the plot. The church is obviously losing its grip on society and is plotting a way to put fear back into the people who have strayed from the religious sect. So how does the church plan to solve this? Well, what better way than to bring about the birth of the Antichrist? Yeah, let's get that on the docket. There's a memorable scene where Margaret is out in the town square when a riot gets out of control, and then she begins to have visions of an evil entity. That scene kind of sums up what this movie is all about. There are lots of body horror involving car crashes, falling window panes, and birthing scenes. This movie pulls no punches. There are only a handful of jump scares, so the movie doesn't really rely on that at all. It's a good horror flick that relies on a mounting sense of dread that slowly builds throughout the movie. Nell Tiger-Free as Margaret holds the film up with the steadfast performance of a girl who starts out as a well-adjusted individual whose psyche slowly devolves into madness. She seems to hover around shows and pictures that lean toward the supernatural and crazy, so she's on familiar ground here. Like I said earlier, this movie made me interested in the Omen franchise, and now I'm a fan of all things dealing with the origins of Damien, and I'm fascinated in what will happen in the future. The movie makes Damien's father a formidable threat when you recognize or don't recognize what he is. He's a sinister presence that they smartly don't overexpose. And it's interesting how Damien, even as an unborn entity, can influence the events around him in a way that extends past the physical plane. He seems to be a very legitimate bad omen in this movie, causing things to happen from afar with his bad mojo. Could we see more franchise movies dealing with the origins of Damien? Maybe, but hopefully they don't overdo it like they did with the Insidious movies. Whatever the case may be, this was a great movie that was able to sustain tension throughout with a good payoff in the end. I give the first Omen an 8 out of 10. See you the next time when we venture into the void.